Hi there and welcome. My name's Tahlia and I'm an accredited mental health social worker from Mindscape Psychology and Allied Health. And I'm really excited to present to you today the first part in this exciting 6-part video series called Curious and Questioning. Over the 6-part videos, we explore a whole bunch of different topics related to gender and sexuality, look at a key concept in each one, and present some practical tips and strategies to help you navigate them. This series is essentially designed for young people who might be curious and questioning their sexuality or gender diversity. And it's also really relevant for parents who might be curious and questioning about perhaps whether their child identifies as sexuality or gender diverse. So in this video, number 1, we look at the many different terms that there are out there that can feel really complicated or confusing. We've got sex, gender, gender identity, gender expression, sexuality. Like, what do they all mean? It can be really hard to keep track. So what I want to do is go through each one with you and hopefully help you get a bit of a better understanding about what each concept means. And that will help us give a bit of a base to navigate the rest of the videos in this series. So really, socially and culturally, we've kind of been given these binary ideas about what it means to be a man or a woman, a boy or a girl. And boys wear pants, girls wear dresses, men are strong, women are sensitive or emotional. You like boys or you like girls. But actually we know that it's much more complex than that. Instead of seeing it as a binary, so one idea or the other, it's much more helpful to look at it as part of a spectrum or a continuum. So not necessarily about fitting into these categories that kind of constrict us and can view our world in really kind of finite, sometimes unhelpful and ways that exclude people or make people feel like who they are is not okay. So the first concept I want to explain to you is sex. So sex is different to gender, which I'll explain in a second. But sex is actually the kind of body that you were born with. So the biological or anatomical characteristics that you were born with. So chromosomes, sex organs, the things that traditionally determine whether you're viewed as either male or female. And then the things about your body that develop, so for example through puberty, genitals, body shape, voice, body hair, hormones, all those kind of things. And that part, sex, is often referred to as sex assigned at birth. So like what's on your birth certificate, unless you decide to change it, but that is a little bit further down the track. It's also important to note intersex, which is people who are born with variations or combinations of physical sex characteristics. So not perhaps purely male or female anatomy, but maybe combinations or variations of both. But this series focuses on sexuality and gender identity, not sex. So we're going to move on to explain why gender is different to sex. People often use them interchangeably, but they're actually very different. Our gender is influenced by and impacts on many parts of our human experience, the way we interact with the world and actually the way that the world interacts with us. So, gender identity means that for some people, your sex that you were assigned at birth matches up with your innate sense of who you are or how you experience the world. So, for example, you might be assigned female at birth and identify as a woman. That's called cisgender. For others, the sex you were assigned at birth doesn't really fit with your innate sense of who you are or who you know yourself to be. So those people might identify as transgender or perhaps non-binary or gender fluid. So acknowledging that kind of binary idea, as I was saying, about, what's traditionally a woman or a man, which are mostly Western ideas of how we've kind of understood personality traits, hobbies, jobs, likes, dislikes, what's kind of manly or what's girly or all those ideas. That's about our understanding of gender identity. So the next concept is related to that, but it's called gender expression. So it's literally how you present yourself and your gender. So perhaps more feminine or masculine, your femininity or masculinity. So that might come under things like how you dress, your hairstyle, your facial or body hair, makeup. Could be how you act, so how you behave or how you talk or walk. And also how you're interpreted based on these kind of traditional gender norms and ideas of what it means to look like a man or look like a woman. Really importantly, actually, it could be different depending on the day. You could, identify or express yourself in a more androgynous way or a more kind of gender fluid way. It's about understanding that actually you don't have to be feminine or masculine, one or the other at these separate ends of a spectrum, but actually that it is a spectrum. Which brings me on to sexuality. So sexual attraction or sexual orientation. And that refers to who you're sexually or romantically attracted to. So, for example, if you're attracted to the opposite gender, you might be known as heterosexual or straight. And most people will be familiar with that one. As well as if you are attracted to the same gender, you might identify as homosexual, gay or lesbian. Some people are attracted to people of both binary, acknowledging binary, both genders, and that might be called bisexual. So some people who identify as bisexual are attracted to men and women, but other people identify as bisexual if they're attracted to people regardless of their gender. People who are attracted to people regardless of their gender might also identify as something called pansexual. So again, it depends on the person, and only that person can decide what label fits right for them, if a label at all. Some people, and people might not be as familiar with this one, some people don't experience sexual attraction at all. And this is called asexual. Doesn't necessarily mean that they don't experience romantic attraction or are in relationships. They absolutely can be. It just looks a little different where they're not sexually attracted to someone. So those are some of the sexualities and genders and ways of understanding how we present and how we look to the world and to people. But they are as unique as each person and as each relationship. And there are many more. Those are just some of the key terms, key ones that might be more familiar and more relevant to you. Another really important one that I want to talk about is the word queer. And the reason I leave this till last is because I know that it's really significant. Because these videos are targeted at both young people and parents, the different generations have really different understanding of the word queer. It's a complex word. It's a word that perhaps for older generations or people from different cultures, it has really negative connotations of the past. It might have been a word used to persecute or discriminate against you. For some people in younger generations, that word has now been reclaimed or kind of taken on as something that people wear with pride. So queer often, in kind of this kind of modern day context, is used as a bit of an umbrella term for diversity of gender and sexuality. So people can use it for one or the other or both, but it's something that only you can identify with. If someone uses queer to refer to you without you having identified that way, it can be used as a slur or as an insult, but it's something that you get to decide. So someone might refer to their gender as genderqueer, or sexuality as queer, or gender fluid, or all kinds of different things. I guess the point of what I'm saying is it's really helpful throughout all of these discussions to see gender and sexuality as more fluid and dynamic than one thing or another, or all of something or none of something, or all of something or all of another something. In fact, if we think about it, over your lifetime, your gender identity or your sexuality or both might stay the same, but it also might change. There's no one way to be any of these things, and there's certainly no right way. It's about discovering, exploring, and celebrating what feels most authentically you. So I really hope that over the course of these 6 videos, we're able to explore some topics that might have felt perhaps a bit foreign or a bit confusing, and hopefully help give you a better understanding of how to navigate them as it relates to you or your family or someone you care about. The idea is to give you some ways of understanding and then navigating how to deal with the issues that might arise. So I'll also be sharing resources with you in each video, and particularly this one, the first video, I'm most excited to share with you the genderbread person, which I will post and make available. The genderbread person is a wonderful visual tool that can help you understand all the things that we spoke about: sex, sexuality, gender identity, gender expression, that kind of thing. And just help you kind of conceptualize it a bit more. So thank you for being part of the first of this 6-part series. I'm really excited to go on this journey with you, and hopefully you'll find it as valuable and as interesting as it is to explore when you get to know a person for who they are. Okay, thanks for joining me. Take care.